I'm gonna show you how to make a creamy soup. And my favorite is the creamy tomato soup. It's like one of those soups you usually find at restaurants, and you can make it at home and make it so much better. And it has very simple ingredients, almost like something you would use to make any kind of pasta sauce or pizza sauce, but we have a special edition, which is half and half. So that makes it creamy. Now we're starting off with olive oil, 1 can of plum tomatoes, and garlic and onion, salt and pepper, broth, and the half and half. We need something kind of rich, so I don't use milk, or you could use whole milk, but it would come out a little watery, so I really want to stick to half and half. And of course, fresh parsley for the top, as well as fresh basil. There's no substitute for those, but if you have dried, that's fine. Okay, let's start with the olive oil. We're gently heating the olive oil. And then we'll add the onion and garlic. Now, when you see a can of tomatoes like this, you're wondering, how is this actually going to become soup? Well, we're going to use a hand blender to make that happen. So this is called a hand blender or an immersion blender. And I think every kitchen should have one because they're so easy to, instead of taking everything out of a dish, out of a pot, and putting it into a blender where things are really hot, all you have to do is take things off the flame or turn the flame off and then use the blender to mash everything right inside the pan. And I think it's indispensable in the kitchen. So, okay, I think our oil is nice and hot. We're gonna add the onion and garlic. You wanna cook it until the onions are nice and translucent or clear. I'm gonna turn that heat up just a little bit, make that happen a little faster. Now we're gonna add our tomatoes. We're not gonna crush them just yet. Give them some time to warm up and add the salt and pepper. Kind of give it a whirl so that everything gets nice and coated and oiled. Smells really good. Okay. So now we'll add our broth. And I want to bring this to a boil. This recipe is really versatile. So the ratio is a half a cup of broth to 1 cup of half and half. So if you're using a lot more broth, you want to use a lot more of the half and half. So I'm making a big batch because I'm having guests over tonight. So I'm going to add even more half and half than usual, but it doesn't matter. You can really multiply this recipe quite easily. So I'm going to let all of that kind of come to a boil, get nice and warm. It's already very creamy. And you want to taste it for any salt. So if you need more or you need more pepper or anything like that, we can also just chop up the parsley by hand. You can even save some, of course, for the topping because that's really important. I'm just going to throw that in there. And some basil. That's really important. Every good tomato sauce has to have basil. Okay, smells so fresh. Okay, now I have to just turn the heat off for a minute while I use the immersion blender to blend everything. Otherwise you could melt it, so you don't want to do that. Okay, it's nice and blended. I'm just gonna turn it back on. And now I wanna let it simmer for about 20 minutes. And when it's finished, you can add some fresh Parmesan, a little bit more fresh herbs, and it's ready to go.